A defunct Falcon 9 stage impact on the moon gives astronomers a calibrated data point on crater formation from a known mass and velocity. This is SpaceX Daily, episode 55. A Falcon 9 second stage is on course to strike the lunar surface on Wednesday, creating a new crater whose formation astronomers will observe directly. The stage follows a trajectory set after its primary mission, with impact timing fixed by orbital mechanics. Reports indicate the hardware mass and velocity are known quantities, allowing precise modeling of the resulting excavation. Ground-based telescopes will capture the event to refine impact physics models. The stage originates from a prior Falcon 9 flight whose upper stage was left in a disposal orbit after payload deployment. The same Falcon 9 upper stage will deliver a known kinetic energy to the lunar regolith, enabling direct comparison between predicted and observed crater dimensions. Observers note the impact site lies in a region free of prior human hardware, simplifying baseline measurements. Data collected will test scaling laws for hypervelocity impacts in vacuum. Remember, we covered Starship developments yesterday. Today's flight moves that forward because the booster descent validated recovery hardware ahead of future attempts. Starship Flight 13 completed its primary test objectives with the Super Heavy booster executing a controlled descent profile. The ship upper stage achieved orbital insertion and performed re-entry maneuvers before loss of signal. Post-flight data review highlighted successful heat shield performance on the ship during peak heating. The flight advanced the campaign toward rapid reuse goals. Additional coverage noted the booster's descent as a key step in validating recovery hardware ahead of future tower catch attempts. State officials are advancing permitting for a coastal Southwest Louisiana launch complex intended for Falcon and Starship vehicles. The site selection targets proximity to existing Gulf infrastructure while adding geographic redundancy to Texas operations. Environmental reviews and local support are cited as near completion. Construction timelines remain tied to federal approvals. A related Reddit thread notes ongoing state-level steps and compares the proposal to existing Texas facilities. The vessel Normand Ranger is reported stabilizing Ship 40 at sea following its recovery. Current speed of 3 knots places the tow approximately 12 days from Dampier at the observed distance of 852 nautical miles. The restricted maneuverability status confirms attachment to the ship upper stage. Operations continue to prepare the vehicle for final transport. The update specifies that the vessel's speed remains insufficient to fully overcome local currents during the open ocean transit. Multiple Falcon 9 missions are listed for Cape Canaveral pads through the remainder of August. The manifest includes both commercial and Starlink payloads with no announced delays. Pad turnaround intervals remain consistent with prior high cadence periods. The schedule reflects ongoing booster reuse across the fleet. The report lists specific windows for each mission and notes that the cadence aligns with the current operational tempo at the Florida site. Investors have submitted questions ahead of the first post-IPO earnings, including requests for a pink-painted rocket and a Starship named Shippy McShipface. The queries focus on Starship timelines, Starlink economics, and AI infrastructure spend. Organizers compiled the list from public submissions. Community members are coordinating travel from South Padre Island to Starbase for the next Starship flight test, noting limited shuttle options and exploring boat services. Plans include side trips to Houston for Johnson Space Center visits. Participants emphasize the potential for a booster catch on the upcoming attempt. Worth keeping an eye on, SpaceX reported Q2 revenue of $6.87 billion, alongside a widened net loss of $4.2 billion in its first earnings as a public company. The results reflect continued investment across Starship development and Starlink constellation growth. Analysts note the loss expansion occurs against a backdrop of thawing lockup shares valued at $12.3 billion. Resolution depends on demonstrating narrower losses in subsequent quarters as reuse rates improve. The earnings release coincides with the first public company quarterly filing since the June 2026 IPO. On the AI front, Musk stated that Grok can generate a complete historical film comparable to the movie Odyssey, pointing to expanded generative capabilities in video and narrative synthesis. The claim ties directly to Grok's integration path through developer tools and platform distribution. The statement appears in coverage of recent model demonstrations and highlights potential downstream uses in content creation workflows. xAI plans to remove 69 unpermitted turbines from the Tennessee-Mississippi Colossus campus by July 2027, following congressional record requests. The extension allows continued operation while compliance documentation is prepared. Separate reporting notes that the turbines remain in place until the 2027 deadline amid ongoing demands for operational records. From an engineering standpoint, the Falcon 9's second stage impact on the Moon supplies a controlled experiment in hypervelocity collision mechanics. The stage carries a documented dry mass and arrives at a velocity set by its residual orbital energy after mission completion. Because both parameters are known, the kinetic energy delivered to the regolith can be calculated directly from conservation of momentum without relying on estimates. This removes one layer of uncertainty that normally affects natural impactor studies. The resulting crater will therefore serve as a calibration point for scaling laws that relate projectile mass, velocity, and target properties to final morphology. Observers can compare the measured diameter and depth against predictions derived from laboratory and simulation data. Any deviation will highlight the influence of lunar regolith porosity or layering that current models treat only approximately. The single known impact also constrains the contribution of angle of incidence, which is fixed by the stage's approach trajectory. Future missions can use the same approach to benchmark hardware disposal or intentional impact experiments. The data will tighten the relationship between delivered energy and ejected volume, improving models used for both planetary defense and in situ resource assessments. The calibration value extends beyond crater morphology to thermal and seismic signatures recorded during the event. Ground-based instruments can correlate the known impact energy with observed flash intensity and any detectable seismic waves propagating through the lunar crust. These correlations refine remote sensing techniques applied to other solar system bodies where impactor parameters remain unknown. Over time, the single data point reduces systematic error in population estimates of near-Earth objects and in assessments of regolith gardening rates. Engineers planning future lunar landers or resource extraction hardware can incorporate the refined scaling relationships to predict excavation volumes more accurately. A quick look at the tape shows SPCX closed at $108.37, up 0.6%. Before we go, the next Starship flight test could draw observers coordinating travel from South Padre Island and testing boat services for a potential booster catch. That's the day at SpaceX. That's a wrap. SPCX is trading at $108.37, up 0.6%. If you're new here, subscribe and this briefing finds you every day. I'm Patrick in Vancouver. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow. And before you go, this show is part of the NERA Network, a family of daily podcasts on tech, science, and markets, each one a short, sharp briefing you can finish on the commute. If today earned its place in your feed, here's your next listen. Fascinating Frontiers, the most fascinating news from space and science. Find every show free at neranetwork.com. The age of AI puts real builders on the phone with an AI host. Apply at neranetwork.com. Age of AI apply. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.